What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing an update to Ragnarika Traptrix, or Traptrix Ragnarika, depending on how you want to go with it. So the Ragnarika has got two brand new cards, one in the form of a Link 3, which technically we're not actually using, but we are using another Link monster that we also got in the brand new set, but it's not technically a Ragnarika. And then we also got another brand new main deck monster. Now this one is my favourite. So this one is the Ragnarika Wicked Butterfly, which basically allows you to discard it to special summon an insect, plant, or reptile monster from the hand. So free Traptrix monster, let's go! And if it is banished from the hand or graveyard, you get to draw cards during the end phase of this turn equal to the number of different monster types among the monsters you currently control that are insect, plant, or reptile. So if you end your combo on the tri-types, which will be one insect, one reptile, one plant, you're going to be able to draw 3 new cards, which is absolutely insane in this particular deck because you can burn through your resources or you draw into your hand traps. Great success. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. I'm going to take you through this profile. I'm also going to show you a updated Naturia Ragnarika build as well, because I haven't actually done a Ragnarika Naturia build on the channel. So massive shout out to Kurt on that one, who provided me the list for that. I've just got to find my Naturia cards and then I'll bring you that list as well. So with all of that out of the way, we're going to dive headfirst into profile and show you what we've got. So we're going to start off with your normal Traptrix kind of lineup. Now this build can actually be done on a relatively tidy budget as well, which is great considering the Traptrix themselves all came out in the structure deck. And then everything else you need is relatively cheap, minus 1 or 2 cards, but they are pretty much optional, so you can choose to play them or not. So triple Mamelo, triple Arachnicampa, like this is all pretty standard for the Traptrix lineup. Double Mantis, so like I said in my previous build, this was a bit of a sacrifice that I made in order to to open up a bit more space for everything, because that's where I wanted to utilize Bloom at 3, and I still feel playing Bloom at 3 is still really kind of useful, but you can very easily take that out as well and change it if you want to. We've then got 2 Pudika, followed up by the 1 Dionea. Now you can play more Dioneas if you want to, because you have that ability to special summon it from the hand very easily, because you have the ability to special summon it with the effect of the butterfly, and this will then let you recycle one of your whole normal trap cards, which through the combo, what you can do is you normal summon down something like a Mamelo, set the Traptrix track hole, use that trap hole nightmare, use the trap card, where is it? Holotail, there we go. Use that effect, ditch in a trap card, and if it's a whole trap card, what you can do is you can then discard the butterfly when you get to it throughout your Ragnarika plays, and then this will allow you to special summon down a Dionea, and then Dionea lets you reset the trap card you just ditched. So it gives you a bit more, which is why Mantis might be a cool option for you, because the Mantis can search you out the Dionea, but even then it still means that you need to open up Mantis, and then you need to open up the butterfly to do it. But it is an option you might want to consider, and that's something you can look into. Then for the Ragnarikas themselves, let's tidy out the Traptrix just so we can clear up a bit more space. Of course, you got the 1 Evil Seed. Then we're still playing the 1 Beetle, and I'm still playing the 1 Lizard. You don't have to, like, you can very easily and technically sub out either one of these, probably more so the Lizard for the Butterfly, because the Butterfly is technically an upgrade to the Lizard. But what I did like about the Armored Lizard is it allows you to special summon it by banishing an insect, reptile, or plant from the graveyard, so you can actually set up the discard of the butterfly. So you would discard the butterfly, summon down one of your Traptrix monsters, special summon the lizard by banishing the butterfly, and then obviously the butterfly would be able to trigger to draw you during the end phase, which is really kind of cool. And then one of the brand new butterfly, you could play through of it if you wanted to, but it's so easily searchable, like playing 1 is more than enough. You'd definitely be playing more in a higher pure build, but I feel that using up your normal summon on a Traptrix is absolutely fine, because that's going to bait out a hand trap straight away, whether that be an Imperm, a Veiler, or a Ash Blossom. And then of course the butterfly can just allow you to set up the secondary effects. Unfortunately, the secondary effects of the Traptrix aren't that great, but what it will do is it will allow you to turn that Traptrix monster on the board into a Serra, special summon down, use the butterfly to discard a special with Traptrix, and because most times than not, the Traptrix monster's effects are mandatory, it will trigger a Traptrix effect, which will then trigger Serra to give you a trap card. So you're pretty much just getting everything you need to, and then you can kind of move from there. Now, before I go on to the next card, massive shout out. So this was a suggestion from Snooty Duty 3543, and they said, would I replace Parallel Exceed with the Rica Princess? And I have done that. So I've taken out the Parallel Exceed and I've gone with the 2 Rica Princess. Now the reason we've done this is Parallel Exceed will lock you out of your Link 2, which is actually quite important for the deck, which annoyingly is the only Ragnarika card in the extra deck that says for the entire turn you can't summon anything apart from plants, insects, and reptiles, which is really annoying. However, the Rica Princess actually gives you a lot more because we are actually playing Strenna in the extra deck. Well, previously what you do is you'd use Jasmine to tribute off the Strenna to trigger the Strenna's effect during your turn. However, what we're going to be doing more times than not, now because we have the Rica Princess access to us, and for those of you unfamiliar with this, is during your main phase you get to special summon this card from the hand, but while it's face up in a monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters except plants. But the idea is that what you do is you'd overlay into Strenna. You'd then detach material off of Strenna, being the princess, and this lets you add detach material to target a plant monster or a Rica card in your graveyard and add it to the hand. Then, the benefit of this one is when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a Rica monster, quick effect, you shove this card from the hand or graveyard into the deck and tribute a plant monster to negate that effect. So the idea is what you're going to be doing is you're going to keep Strenna on the board. You'll use Strenna's effect to detach material, like I said, detach the princess. This then lets you get a recursion back from the graveyard. Whether you're going to add back the plant or whether you want to add back the Rica princess, it doesn't make much of a difference. It just depends whether you're going to be using the effect from the hand or the effect from the graveyard. And then the idea is during your opponent's turn, when they activate an effect and they've forgotten about princess, you activate the Rica princess effect, tributing off the Strenna, which will then in turn put this back into the deck and then trigger Strenna's effect to summon you out the Hyperion. So you've got the ability to get the Hyperion on the board, but rather than doing it during your turn, you do it during your opponent's turn and get an additional negate off the back of the princess, as well as the princess being an additional free level 4 summon. So great success. And then moving on to the spell cards, of course, I am playing triple Ragnarika Bloom. I really love the artwork on this deck. Like, the Ragnarikas themselves just look absolutely amazing. Like, they're all menacing. I love Bloom. I think the artwork's absolutely amazing. And then I do love the Seed, but the Seed is basically just a close-up of the Bloom. But then I do also really like the other Ragnarikas, just because they're like, you know, they're like traditional Japanese like geishas, and then they've got additional bits to it, and then we've got like this cannon lizard. I love the samurai-esque lore. I think it's really, really kind of cool. Anyway, triple Ragnarika Bloom. You don't have to play 3 of this if you are on a bit of a tighter budget, but either all of these, the Bloom and the City, are like £5 a copy now, which is absolutely insane. And this one, insect, plant, and reptile monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense. All monsters on the field lose 300 attack and defense, all other monsters. And then during your main phase, again, you get to activate one of the effects to add a Ragnarika monster from the deck to the hand and then discard a card, or you special summon a Ragnarika monster from your hand, grave, or banishment in defense. So obviously the idea is Bloom can now search you out directly, the Butterfly. Butterfly can then discard and get you any of your plant monsters, insects, or reptiles from the hand. It's a shame it doesn't summon from hand and grave, but you can't have it both ways. And then moving on to the rest of the spells, so I am playing the Trap Tantalizing Tune. Obviously in the previous build I was playing Prosperity, but because of the Butterfly during the end phase and of course Tune now is probably a better option to use. And this one also allows you to discard a level 4 insect or plant or a normal trap card to draw 2 cards. You can also banish it from the grave to target one of your banished level 4 insects or plants or normal trap card and place it on the bottom of the deck. You can only use each effect once per turn, but the idea is you're going to be banishing your plants and insect very easily off of the back of your Ragnarikas in general, so it was worth playing. The one Garden, and then for the trap cards, of course, triple Holotea, standing on this one. 1 Trap Hole Nightmare, Bottomless, Terrifying Trap Hole, Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, Gravediggers, and Floodgate, followed up by the 1 Ragnarika trap card in Hunting Dance, which you'll be searching off, which gives you like a triple pop. So I've just gone with the range of the trap holes. If you wanted to play more hand traps, you can do. If you wanted to adapt the plays a little bit more and play more Ragnarikas, you can do. It really is up to you. Honestly, like I feel this ratio or lineup's perfectly fine for me. Again, adapt it to your personal play style. Next up, of course, is just standard hand traps. I'm not going to go over these in too much detail, but like I've gone with Ash, Droll, Imperm, and then Call By, but you can play Cross Out if you want to. You can play Anti-Spell in the main deck if you wanted to risk it that way. The idea is what you want to try and do, which is arguably where you could consider playing something like Evenly Matched as well, is the idea is that when you're drawing 3 cards in the end phase, you need to be making sure that you're drawing cards that are going to be effective for you, that could be utilised during your opponent's turn. So that's why Ash and Droll are quite helpful, and it might be why you might want to consider stuff like Veilers. But the idea is that Imperm is just such a great card. Like, well, that's not Imperm, that's Ash. Imperm is just such a great card because it will help you trigger as a normal trap card. So it's kind of one of the ones that in a deck like this, you don't want to get rid of it just on that off chance that you draw it off of the Butterfly. Like, you're not going to guarantee that you're going to draw the Imperm off of the Butterfly, but you're not also going to guarantee that you're going to draw Ash Blossom off of it either. So it's still worth having. You just never know. So that's it for the entire main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. Like I said, not much has really changed in this build from the previous version, but I thought I'd do an update because a lot of people had requested it, and I'm also going to do the Naturia as well. So, I mean, we've already talked about Strenna, and we've already talked about the Sacred Tree Beast Hyperion. We'll also talk about the other plant monsters that you can summon while you put the Rica on the board. So your other plants you can get into is the Panigula, and then of course you can still get into the Rafflesia. So it still gives you the job of what Parallel was doing, but the issue is you then lose your materials, because with Parallel what it gave you the ability for was Sarah, and then trigger the Parallel, which would then give you something like Rafflesia, whereas now you would have to go Traptrix or Traptrix into Sarah. Then you need to use Butterfly. Butterfly would then summon down a Traptrix monster, trigger Sarah, get you a trap card, and then special summon down the Princess to then overlay in Rafflesia. It's still good because you get to do all of that before you hit your Nibiru territory, but it's just something you need to keep in mind of. Obviously, you have the option to go into your Link monsters, but the last XYZ you play is your Alamiris. Unfortunately, it is an insect, not a plant, so this one you won't be able to go into with Rica Princess on the board, but just something to make a note of. And then for the Link monsters, of course, we do have the triple Traptrix Sarah. Like I said, if you wanted to, and the card that I've cut out is the Curlia, but if you wanted to add this back in, you could arguably be seeing yourself cutting your Sarah down to 2 if you wanted to, but I feel it's just too important to have it to be honest. And then, of course, we've got the Traptrix Atopus, followed up by the one Aroma Seraphy Jasmine. Get there eventually. And then for the Ragnarika Link monsters, we've got the one Skeletal Soldier. So this is the one that locks you into insect, plants, and reptiles for the entire turn, so you do need to be very careful. You are going to want to use its effects. Its effects are just too good for what it is, so I suppose the drawback is fair, but then when has Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever really been fair with its effect applications? So you've got your Link 2 in the form of the Skeletal Soldier, you've got your Link 3 in the form of the Mantis, which is going to get you access to the Trap card, and then of course you've got your Link 4 into, Link 5 in the Stag Sovereign. Now, I would love to have played the new Heavenly in this particular deck because you actually play 3 Link 5s, but Heavenly is a fiend, it's not a insect, plant, or reptile. But you also got the Bengal Lancer. This is probably like the most expensive one because it's only had 1 print, I believe. But if you don't have access to this, you can cut this out, and that's when you can put in a Caloria or you can put in a second Atopus if you want to. And the last card that I decided to play was the Cosmic Tree. This is the brand new one that came out in Info, and this one you can only control 1 of it. But each time your opponent special summons a monster or monsters face up during the main phase, you get to gain life points equal to their attack. And then once per turn, quick effect, you get to pay life points in a multiple of 1,000, maximum 3,000, and this card gains that much life points. So what this adds is this adds a boss monster to Traptrix that sometimes they do desperately need. It also adds you the ability to gain life points because, again, the deck is relatively slow. Yes, of course, Grave Diggers can be a massive ability to help you in a time con, but when you put up something like the Cosmic Tree, straight away it's going to give your opponent a lot to worry about because it's basically like having your own in-archetypal. Rather than having to hard draw a Dogwood, you just go, okay, cool, make Cosmic Tree, back it up with all of my Traptrix traps, and then just watch them kind of panic as you're trying to just gain life, gain life, gain life, and gain life. And that is pretty much it. Now, the other brand new Link 3, and I'll try and find it, I did pull it out to one side, and I've definitely put it somewhere, but the reason we're not playing the brand new Link 3, which is the Selene Snapper, so this one is more so for going second. So you can banish up to 2 monsters from the graveyard, again pretty much the same, to then target that many spells or traps your opponent controls and destroys them. If this card is in the graveyard, again, you get to target an insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special on this card. You can't special summon for the rest of the turn except insect, plant, or reptile, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So the idea is that all of the other Ragnarikas are great to kind of link climb higher. This one lets you extend by bringing a card back. So that's why we're not really using the Selene Snapper, because it doesn't really give you much applications going first. It is better going second, which is a nice option, but if it was like target 2 cards on the field, then great, that would be really kind of useful, but only being able to target the spells and traps, I feel that's where your side deck is going to be more applicable for you than anything else. So that's pretty much it for the build. Keeping in mind the Ragnarikas do get a brand new trap card in the next core set, but we've literally only just got this one, so enjoy it while it lasts. It is still a very, very fun deck. I love when we do get engines like this, like less so the Fiendsmiths, even though Fiendsmiths can be played in pretty much any deck, but engines like the Ragnarikas that give a nice little boost to other types of decks. So when you look at the Audatics, when you look at the Naturias, when you look at the Traptrix, it's always nice when you get a relatively cheap engine that lets you upgrade and play your favorite decks in a different way without breaking the bank. It then also lets you go, okay, cool, well, I've already got Traptrix. I'm going to get the Ragnarikas because I enjoy it, but then also the Naturas are quite cheap. Let's try that strategy out. Or the Audatics are quite cheap. Let's try that strategy out. And then that starts turning you from playing a control trap heavy deck to a Naturia deck, which kind of has the balance of being able to go into synchro plays as well as being like trap monsters and everything else. And then of course the Audatics, which is a little bit more aggressive in comparison. So you get a nice range of different type of decks to try out and utilize in different ways, which is what I really like about these creative engines. Not so much the theme space where it's like, yeah, cool, chuck it into any deck and it'll give you the exact same outcome. Whereas this one, it's like, chuck it in one of the 3 decks and it'll give you a bit of a different outcome every single time you play it, which is really kind of cool. Anyway, that's it for the entire deck and extra deck. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please let me know in the comments down below. The combo that I showed you in the previous version is pretty much the same. You wouldn't, like, that doesn't really change too much. You'll still do that combo in this build. So the butterfly doesn't really adapt the combo or change it massively. It just kind of gives you a bit more options depending on what else you have in your hand, which is really kind of cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Any questions at all, like always, put them in the comments down below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.